Hey, let's call this meeting to order here. It's 2:32, we'll call it. And on February 2nd, 2026, call the meeting for the Parks and Environment Committee meeting with a fairly focused agenda. I'm kind of looking forward to this today. Anyhow, to do read the acknowledgement that we respect that we're meeting on the traditional territory of the Algonquin speaking people, and we are honored to have the opportunity to build strong working relationships with the people of the Songhees and Couseptum nations. We need an approval for the agenda, which I hope you all have in front of you. Judy, and we don't need a second at all. Any opposed? It's carried. And move right on to number 3, the adoption of the minutes. Likewise, we have recommendations that the minutes for the Parks and Environment Committee held October 6, 2025 be adopted as presented. A motion for. Yeah. Okay, you're on.
I just, point of clarification, I would like to note that I opposed the motion because I thought we could be more aspirational and aim for 50% canopy coverage.
Okay, so you have
I just wanted to make that note because it's not within the minute. So looks like I oppose tree canopy coverage, which I do not.
Yeah, so fortunately we have the video of the meeting so that subtleties like that can get picked up by people if they want to watch, but I don't know if corporate has any comment to make on how that would look, or if we could make that slight addition. We can add that to it to make note that.
Thank you.
Member Woodland has chosen to oppose the percentage, not the motion in principle. Thank you. Any other comments? Call the question, and any opposed? Thank you, that's carried. Public participation, I don't know if there's anyone on. Oh, Councillor Jordison's online. Thank you very much, co-chair, and good to have you. I think Tanner Northrup's on online in case, and I don't see anyone else. So we'll move right along to new business. And we have today, for our edification, the Parks Improvement Capital Update 25-26. Ryan Campeau, Parks Lead, will be presenting. And I would just like to make a quick comment before you start, if you will, that the meeting today is as you see, the recommendation is that we receive it for information only. That doesn't mean to say that your questions and your comments aren't not just welcome, but worthy, because the staff that are here and so on do make note, do hear what's going on, and it does help move ideas forward. So please feel free to contribute. We don't want to just have the presentation and then close up and go home. We want to make this a really good, interesting conversation, which I'm sure with this crowd. Please come on, and we just started up, Devin. We're just being joined now we have 6 members and 7 and Jordison online, so we made quorum. I didn't make that comment earlier. So anyway, to carry on with Ryan's presentation now, take it away. Thank you.
While they're pulling that up there. Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair Committee members. Today I'm presenting a Parks Capital Update. This update covers the amenities we successfully delivered in 2025 and the status of our 2026 projects, including some supply chain and regulatory issues that we are encountering and dealing with. So starting with 2025, we delivered 3 key infrastructure projects. First, at Latoria Walk Park, we replaced the boardwalk, which was at the end of its lifespan and closed to the public, with a new powder-coated aluminum structure featuring locally milled cedar deck and railings. The new design will significantly lower ongoing maintenance costs compared to the original all-wood structure. At Ocean View Park, we installed a new 20 by 20 foot picnic shelter, creating a gathering space for the community with potential for added parks programming. And finally, at Colway Creek Park, the bridge by the Veterans Memorial Parkway, we were able to leverage pre-engineering designs to upgrade what was supposed to be a repair that would last about 10 years to a full structural replacement with a 50-year lifespan, um, all while staying within the original approved budget. It's an all aluminum structure with like a fiberglass deck there. Moving to the broader upgrades planned for Colway Creek Park, including the playground, splash pad expansions, and formalized dog park and washroom. These projects are currently paused because 80% of the park lies within the agricultural land reserve. Following council's direction, we're pursuing a partial exclusion application with the ALC. This will allow us to build recreational infrastructure in the western portion while retaining the eastern portion for agricultural initiatives like the community garden hub. This ALC process is estimated to take between 4 and 12 months, and we are monitoring the schedule to ensure all works can be completed before the March 2028 deadline for the Growing Communities Fund grant, which is funding the improvements in this park. Next is our washer facilities. For the Herm Williams location, we leverage the canoe procurement group to purchase a prefabricated building. Electrical and water pre-servicing has been completed by City Crews. However, production is well behind schedule, and our current expected delivery date is in March of this year. For Lookout Lake and Ocean View Park, we are currently evaluating alternate prefabricated washroom suppliers to improve lead times for those non-served locations. So that's the same style of washroom we're looking at doing in Herm. For Quarry Park, this will be a more traditional built-in-place fully serviced washroom. We are also taking a different approach to ensure fiscal responsibility. Small scale builds often attract high markups, and we're pursuing an alternate delivery model that leverages existing relationships to mitigate that risk. Unfortunately, since we're still in negotiations, I can't really expand on that too much, but we're targeting construction for 2026. Excuse me. And next at Havenwood Park, it's a multi-year improvement project. So the focus here is reducing impacts to the park by formalizing secondary paths into the official trail network and installing ecosystem protection where appropriate. So for example, some of the works already initiated include a low impact boardwalk and habitat protection fencing in the meadow areas. Next is the Latoria Creek Bridge replacement, and that's right by Latoria there. We're replacing the end-of-life wood structure with an aluminum bridge identical to the one at Colway Creek Park. By replicating the Colway Creek solution, we're projecting a total cost of about $36,000. This represents a savings of just under $109,000 compared to the original engineering estimates in our bridge condition assessment report. So that's pretty good. And lastly, the waterfront multi-use pathway. That project remains on time and on budget, and a separate comprehensive update will be brought forward to council in the very near future. That's it. In conclusion, despite regulatory hurdles and supply chain constraints, the Parks Capital Program is delivering value and long-term assets for the community. Thank you, and we're happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Ryan. You gotta hit your button there, careful. I encourage you to all hit your buttons. Carol.
Thank you, Ryan. It was mentioned in the report that Latoria Creek section, this was how it was worded, Latoria Creek section 11 notification was approved to allow installation outside the standard fisheries window. Do you think you could just elaborate and explain what that means? What will be happening to that bridge?
at Latoria Creek. This is the new one to be built, right? What will be happening that's outside the fisheries standard window?
So any work in and about a stream is supposed to take place under provincial statutes between, I believe it's June and September. And that's the work in streams window. And we have submitted our plans to the province, and because of the low impact. So basically what they're doing to that bridge is removing the wood structure, just basically dismantling it in place. And then they're going to take the new aluminum structure and just basically just drop it onto existing concrete abutments. So very low impact. Also mitigation measures will be in place. There'll be an environmental consultant on site as well. But we don't have to wait for that lower risk window to do that work according to the province. And also it's getting a little bit into the details, I guess, but it's not fish bearing. I believe there's barriers downstream to prevent the fish from getting upstream anyway. So it's just lower risk in all in general there.
Thank you, Ryan. When we'll come back to, there's no limit. Karen. You're on, yeah. Oh, no, sorry, you're gonna have to do that again. Red is on.
So good.
No, it's counterintuitive. Red means stop, but it actually means go.
Every 3 or 4 months, I forget.
Yeah, no worries. I know it's too long in between.
And a really good question, Carol, about the fish. Thank you for asking. And Ryan, great presentation. I think the citizens of Colwood can be very proud of their parks and their park staff, because you definitely provide much needed services. I had a question about Quarry Park. A couple questions actually. And I believe in the report you say by leveraging relationships. Now, leveraging existing relationships, can you tell me what that means?
Essentially what it means, and we are still in negotiations, so you know, we can't really elaborate too much, but what we're doing is we already have relationships with the developer down at Quarry. They're currently building the field, the sports field there right now. So we have these you know, this construction and project management and all this stuff already in place down there. So if we can leverage those relationships and have them essentially build the washroom for us while they're down there doing the work, you know, it would be to our advantage to have that, instead of essentially going out and putting the washroom out there for bid or that sort of thing. Is we'll just build it ourselves, but through the construction that we already have going on. I mean, that's a very, you know, pretty simple way to answer it. And we can come back when we start to build at the next, hopefully we're well under the way of building that washroom by the next parks and environment committee meeting, and we'll have a better kind of give you a progress report on where that washroom is as well. Yeah.
Thank you, Gord. And one follow-up question. The roof line for the Quarry Park washroom is at a perfect angle for solar, if it is, you know, oriented in the right direction. So has there been any discussion of adding solar panels to the Quarry Park washroom roof?
I think that anytime that we can do solar, or like we're doing in the other washrooms, like rainwater collection for flushing and that sort of thing, we're always looking at trying to be able to do that sort of thing. So that will be in the discussion for those washrooms for sure. Yeah, it's almost a perfect roof for solar for sure.
Beautiful. Thank you. How about Kimberly, and then we'll come back to you, so everybody gets a chance. Kimberly.
Well, first of all, I wanted to say thank you for the work that you did in 2025 already. We've seen the Latoria Walk Bridge is great. That one I use quite a bit in my neighborhood. But also the most recent one, and I didn't see that even talked about, but I know it's 2026, was in Havenwood, where you put the bridge over the creek, which I know all of us who work in Havenwood really appreciate that. And those of us who walk there regularly, just being able to not have to be disturbing the creek is wonderful. So thank you for all of that work that you've been doing. My question is just I was wondering, the decision to do different washroom styles for Herm Williams and Lookout as opposed to Quarry Park, and like what was in the thinking of with that?
So the Herm Williams and Lookout Lake and Ocean View Park, they all don't have sewer service nearby or anytime in the near future in our planning. So it requires like a pit style way to handle the sewage. And these washrooms, these prefabricated models, they're manufactured in a way that it replicates that full service experience, even though it is storing the sewage within a tank nearby or within the structure itself. So that's a bit of a specialized thing. Whereas Quarry is just a fully serviced site, so we can just build a traditional building. And
So is it going to be more like Meadow Park, like that style? Okay.
That's right.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Is that everything? Yeah. Carol, after long last, thanks for your patience.
No, that's fine. I also want to thank you for the work that's been done and to be done. It was wonderful to see the boardwalk at Havenwood. And this morning I went for a little walk in the rain just to check out the other bridges and see how they look. And oh gosh, I hadn't really seen the one at Latoria Walk, and it just looks fantastic. Out in the rain this morning at Colwood Creek Park, the only people I saw were people that were taking their dogs for a walk. So if we get a dog walking area sometime, that'll be great. But the bridge was just looking very good. I just have a few comments to ask about Havenwood. I noticed that, as I was just mentioning prior to the meeting, that the 173,000 slated for Havenwood over the next 4 years. Some of the points that are mentioned in the agenda and in the report, it would certainly be nice to see some of those, and they very likely will be sped up a little bit, so that, for instance, signage, as we talked about, signage I think is really crucial to Havenwood into protecting the ecosystem, the biodiversity. What you have done up at the Lookout is fantastic to protect it. I know that there has been a little bit of abuse of it, so I think that's being covered, that you're looking at how you can make that even more protective, which is great. It is a beautiful area we're going to have our wildflowers popping up, not too distant future. So very nice that you're already thinking, how can we improve that fence, because the mountain bikers are already there again. So that's just one thing, and maybe some signage, because it's very hard for us when we come across people who are mountain biking in the park where they shouldn't be. It's difficult for us to speak to them without being able to refer them to signage. Somebody said to me once, where's the sign? And I said, well, you could check it out online. It is in the management plan for Havenwood. So I just want to say that, signage would be such a help to protect the ecosystem. what's being planned for the secondary trails, I think, is really a positive step for Havenwood. It's going to provide that circular route that people very much seem to want to take. The boardwalk that Kimberly was referring to is part of that circular plan, and I know that's in the works. And it'd be nice if we didn't have to wait 4 years, but I'm sure it'll be started soon. It sounds like very soon. So all that sounds just, like moving in the right direction. I'm concerned in the map that we were shown, and this isn't just something that I'm aware of now, but the riparian area in the north. In the map that we were shown today, it's consistent with the other maps that we have seen of that area. But it does say on that map, it says park expansion improvement are part of 3461 and 3460 Veterans Memorial Parkway Development Project. And since that development project seems to have stalled over the years, the trail that they were responsible for implementing with just past the 15 or within the 15-meter riparian setback, that's been left on the east side of the wetland to disrepair. That has been let go completely. On the left side of the riparian area, it is being kept up, and I would assume that's being kept up by the City of Colwood Parks Department, even though it's within that covenant, the covenant on that riparian area, but somebody is certainly keeping it in very nice shape. I'm just wondering what is going to happen to this area. There were such wonderful plans for it. It is beautiful. That riparian area right now it's full of water. It is a gorgeous site. The idea was that there would be a circular path within the 15-meter setback, and the developer is not, doesn't seem to be, adding to that section that's left to disrepair. So it's just a comment, but it's also, I suppose, a wish. Whoops. I guess I said something I shouldn't have.
Powerful words, Carol.
Just kidding. I was
Can I just clarify on referring to, right, the Havenwood Park map on the presentation?
Yes, we have a
Can you-
map in our presentation,
Can you,
and if it comes up on the screen, I can just highlight verbally. If you look at that map, and once again, while I'm waiting, this is a gem of the park. It's essential to the water courses that run through our park, and it does need a certain degree of protection. There we go. So close to the top, you'll see a yellowy part. That is part of the covenant, I believe, as well. And just to the right of that is the riparian area, is the wetland. And there is a 15-meter setback that is around the wetland that is given as an extension to Havenwood Park in the covenant, I believe. Now, on the right-hand side, you see the green pathway that it was constructed. They took down trees, they made wildlife trees, but now it is in disrepair. On the left-hand side, where you see the green pathway, this is where I believe that possibly our Parks Department is maybe keeping that up, looking very, very nice. At the top, where there's a little purple circle, people at Resolution Way have the opportunity to access the park, and it is a beautiful walk. So my question and my hope is that the right-hand side will not be left in this condition too much longer. I know we don't really know what's happening with the development, but that's just the wish, I think, of people that want to see the best for Havenwood Park, is to have access to that possibly. And at the top, there was talk of linkage, so it would be circular. And right now, that would be an impossibility. So just another point to consider. Forgive me for just a couple of other things. I did make note that we really appreciate having the parking for Havenwood Park on Veterans Memorial Parkway, because up at the top at Fulton, we only have room for 3 cars. And over at Desmond, we have very limited parking. So the majority parking for Havenwood has to occur on Veterans Memorial. And I know that there is this um, there is the likelihood that large heavyweight trucks, if they park on that shoulder, they will cause that new gravel to shift. So I know that's a bit of a dilemma, but somehow we have to try to keep our parking as well. So thank you for restoring it back to what it was. Also, just while I have your attention on Havenwood, you'll have to forgive me for going on, but at Fulton, there is the exit trail at Fulton to Lookout Lake, and that does go through the city of Langford. And I'd just like at some point in the future some clarification on that. It is marked on the map in the far left upper corner, and that little purple arrow, that's the trail I'm talking about. That's through Langford, but it starts in Colwood. And it is a wonderful connection. And when we think ahead to our Beach to Mountain Trail, it may be either a secondary way to get from Lookout to Havenwood. So it's just that it's a little bit up in the air. Like, can we use that? Can we promote that trail? It goes through Langford. So just something for the future. I'd really like to have some clarification on that.
Carol,
Also,
if we could perhaps give the staff a chance to speak
oh,
to a
give
couple
them
of
a chance
those
to speak.
items, and I'll leave, just don't turn your mic off. We'll come back to you, but did you want to comment anywhere in there, Gord?
Yeah, I can comment on pretty much all the points that.
Well, let's do that now, if
Okay.
that's okay with
Yeah.
you, and then
And I just have
we'll
one
carry
more.
on and keep going. Thank you.
For the private part of where the development was to be slated for beside Havenwood Park, it is still private property, and the city can't go in there and do any work. I don't know who's doing upkeeping the trail on the left-hand side, or is it the right-hand side?
On the map, it's the left of the riparian area.
Yeah, so I'm not sure who's keeping that up. Um, I mean, I'll definitely check, because it very well could be city crews, because we want to go out there and make everything look good, and it just could be a clarification of that. They don't know that this isn't part of the. It's not actually part of the park. It's still, even though this was dedicated or was going to be dedicated as like a section of the covenant, was that whole piece, like you said, was going to be part of the park. Which was going to be parkland, and that trail was going to be part of the park as well. But at this point, it has been turned over. It's still private property, so we really can't go in there and maintain it. I can get more information on that for a future meeting, and just to have a bit more. If there is some more information there that I can bring, I can definitely bring that for that area. But unfortunately, as it sits right now, we wouldn't be able to go there and maintain it. The upper portion that runs, so it does actually run through the city of Langford, but it is common ownership for the property owners. So it's not, the city of Langford doesn't own it. It's in Langford, but that actual section is common ownership through the strata there, I believe. So it's not even, that is private property as well. And that's why it's been used over the years for everybody that's heading through Havenwood to go to the lake. Unfortunately, I have heard, you know, that the owners there at times can be not very happy that people are using it, because it is private property. So, but that is something we could definitely look at, um, trying to make a connection through there. It's the obvious choice. It's been used for years and years. So, and I think because this map comes from the management plan, those are just some key, the key information in there is that this is where we could make a connection through to Lookout Lake. So the potential is there that we could look at that and look at the ownership of who owns that and getting a connection through.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Anything else? Because I just had one more.
Okay, Carol,
Yeah.
do you want to hold on for, I mean, there's no rush.
No,
We
no,
can-
I just-
Let's come back to you, so give a chance for Councillor Jordison has her hand up for a bit, and then I'll go to Karen again.
Oh, sure. Thank you. I wasn't sure. I was trying to stay on what we were talking about, but I do have some questions like Carol, on Havenwood Park. And, so Gord, if you don't have the information at your hands, that's okay. We can come back to it. But I just had a question about the parking. I know that there was talk at one point to put some parking spots at the end of Resolution Way, just before entering the park there. Is that taking place?
So I do believe that was all part of the improvements through the development. So that is no longer happening at this time. So I'm not saying that they're off the table, but it would go all the improvements, like the frontage improvements and then the trail improvements and the park dedication, that would all happen through development, through
Okay.
the land being developed.
And the city hasn't dropped off any gravel or anything to start that process and just left it there, right? Like that's probably just other developments that's happening there.
I haven't been up to that section off of at the end of the street there, but I can definitely, we can have a look. I can see what it looks like and what, if there was anything kind of left there on our part to do. I can put that, definitely down to go up there and have a look, because that is actually road right of way. So that's something where we could do something if there's, to make it safe or to make it, if, I mean, we wouldn't really want people parking there because they can't really go anywhere. Or if they go, they're going to go onto private property and not onto city property. But I can definitely have a look at that, that section up there, and see
Oh,
what we.
yeah. So what's happening with, like, so I know there's that one development that you spoke of, but there's also the 5 homes that are going to be built on Resolution at the end there, I think, just before the park. And that last house is going to kind of be close to that trail that is not really a trail that you're supposed to use, but everybody uses it. Is that something that could be worked out with that? Well, I guess even if you worked out that entrance area, you're still going on to private property, so you can't even work out anything with that developer. Is that right?
I do have a little bit of information here. I don't really know if that's something we could work out with, that individual or that developer for that lot. But we can definitely check in with our planning department, and see if that's a possibility.
Okay.
To,
Um,
to,
yeah.
to kind of just, I'm not sure if we want to put parking there before we actually have a trail that we can maintain and that we can make sure is safe for people to use.
Yeah, there is so there is parking spots down there. And then there's like the fire lane sign, but I think there were 2 spots down there. It just looks like it's been paved over, and I'm not sure if it's just because of the development that was happening down there that it looks different. But anyway, that's okay. If you could get back to us, that would be great. And I just had one other question, totally different, but about Havenwood again. I'm confused to whether there's any cycling through the trails. So I guess I thought that there wasn't, and I thought that that would alleviate the whole the people wanting to cycle through there or mountain bike or that sort of thing. And so I'm just, is it for bikes or not?
You are allowed to bike through Havenwood on the main trail.
So
You can ride a bicycle from Desmond through the main trail to the VMP, but there is no there's definitely, you're not allowed to ride a bicycle in any of the secondary trails, or in through any of the forested area at all. And
then
that,
don't we, oh, sorry, go ahead.
sorry, go ahead.
Don't we get into issues there with and like e-bikes and the different classifications that they come with, and they can be considered motorized vehicles, which it says next that they're prohibited. Like, how do you deal with all that? And do you really want bikes going through a nature park?
We don't want bikes in the actual nature area, but it is a connection. So it is a multi-use trail connection that connects Desmond to the VMP, and all other trails within Colwood that are the same through Latoria Creek, through Murray's Pond, through all of those trails. You're allowed to have a bike on those trails, and that would just be if we wanted to have more control. Then we would just have to, through council direction, is to change the bylaws to restrict the type of bicycles that can go through there, or the type of vehicles that could go through there.
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, I guess we could do that with signage, right?
Signage is coming, and part of that signage, we are going to have our first round of signage is definitely going to be out there to so because we need to get it out right away. So it won't be the signage that we're going to be using um, in later stages. So we'll be doing some nice signage that's part of the improvements. But what we need to do is we need to get the signage out there for park users, just to kind of clarify where you can and can't bicycle. So on the main trails, we'll have signage that say, bicycles need to stick to the main trails, and then up in the sensitive areas, we'll have not only signage for bicycles, but also for people walking, people wanting to use the trails, just to give more information on what we're doing, what we're protecting, and what unsanctioned trails and unsanctioned bike trails, the harm and the danger, or the harm that they can do to the ecosystem. So
Okay.
that's coming right away, and that's going to be there to just to get up there, so we can get that clarification out there. And then as we go through the plan for the upcoming years, we'll start to upgrade that signage to a more a nicer, aesthetically pleasing signage that we're going to do that has a lot of education around it as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks so much, Gord. Karen.
My question is also about impacts of development on parks, and or in this case, non-development at the top of Veterans. It's clear to see how the invasives are taking over. And in Colwood now, there are a number of volunteers, Friends of Havenwood and Friends of Colwood Parks, who are giving a lot of their time to removing invasives, which are spread when the soil is disturbed. So is there any accountability on the part of developers for them to take responsibility for the spread of invasives on land that has been cleared?
There is, through development agreements, invasives are part of those. We as well, landowners need to be accountable for their land, and if there's invasives, and unfortunately, we can only enforce invasives that are on the BC Noxious Weed Act. So if they're not on that listed in that act, we can't, we can't do any kind of enforcement for invasives. Uh, Enforcement for invasives is a challenging process, um, and most landowners are very good about removing invasives, especially if they. A lot of times, people just don't know that they have this on there. Um, and part of the removal of the invasives can be triggered for during building permit phase as well. So before building permits are issued, that they have to be cleared of invasive species. So there are things in place for that. It is definitely it's hard. It's a challenging thing when there's these big areas that tend to have land disturbance and then not a lot of anything happening afterwards. Um, and the unfortunate thing is we tend to see a lot of blackberry, which is not enforceable for us, or broom, which is not enforceable for us to actually require a landowner to remove that off their property.
Thank you, Gord. Kimberly. Oh, you push a button again, and then where'd you go? There,
Thank you.
you're good.
Um, I'm happy to hear about the signage going up in Havenwood with regards to the biking. I in response to Kim's question of where the biking is, definitely there's impact with the bikers, who are doing, and I think the new split rail fencing that you put up has helped cut off, where they can start up at the top of the lookout. I noticed that there's some additional fencing up, like up there. Is there plans to do more up in that area? And then also, I was asking the split rail fencing that I've seen go in along VMP, what the thought is along with that as well.
Absolutely. There's more fencing up there, and our plan is to really protect the sensitive ecosystem up there, while still allowing the use of that part of the park, and actually even promoting the use of that part of the park, because it is beautiful and it's a wonderful spot, and a lot of people just don't really know that they can get up there, and that's been a blessing for us because um, not a lot of people are up there, so it helps um, with the protection of the ecosystem. But I think we've seen some wonderful um, opportunities elsewhere within our region where they have embraced that, allowing people to use the park and still having some nice ecosystem protection. And that essentially really starts too is where you have a strong stewardship presence, and that's what we have in Havenwood. So I think with that strong stewardship presence, we're going to continue to protect all those parts of the park that really need our help, um, as well as incorporate a real good around education. There's some great examples in Saanich, where they have some Christmas Hill is one of them. They have some really great signage up there that just explains, as you walk through the area, just explains where you are and what they've done, and what, by keeping to the trail, what you're protecting. So that sort of thing. And then of course the park is used by the Indigenous Studies group as well through Royal Bay. So we want to incorporate that as well. I think that's a very important part of this park as well. And then keeping that education window open through Royal Bay Indigenous study groups and environmental groups that they have there too. Um, so I think that, yes, we are planning to do a lot more up there. Definitely a lot more. Now along the VMP, the fencing.
There's been just some fence parts put up. I think it's in the area of like where the parking, like the gravel, more gravel was put down and kind of flattened and extended that. And then there's also been some split rail fencing. I was just wondering what it's not really clear what what the fencing is doing?
There are some drainage infrastructure there as well.
Okay.
So we do use the split rail parts for any kind of delineation. Sorry. For any kind of delineation, we use split rail fencing if we want to delineate, some hazards, or if we want to delineate the road edge. And then if there's some drainage infrastructure there too, we'll use that around drainage infrastructure. So it's for us, in the parks, we tend to use the split rail for a lot of different types of delineation or fencing. We're looking at, we have some of the section of the park that, have fall hazards. So we're looking at using the split rail for that. It's not really a safety fence, but at least it's something that we can post a sign to, and that it does give some delineation to let people know that once they cross over a fence, there could be a hazard or that sort of thing. So,
And my, thank you. And my other question was just around, you mentioned some interim signage going up. Do we have any timelines for when that might happen? Just because the split rail fencing is great up at the top, but the last time I was up there, I saw somebody with two large dogs, and the dogs are running all over the area. So even though people couldn't easily, get past the fence, the dogs were jumping the fence and we're playing around there, like, and I think they thought this was a great entertainment for them. So just wondering if there's, going to be signage that says dogs need to be on leash and also respect these fences, even though it's easier for a dog to.
yes, dogs will definitely be part of our signage as well. And the interim signage yesterday.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Maybe Judith, Judy, if you want to take the next.
Yeah, I'm going to change the subject a bit to Quarry Park expansion. We talked about that quite a while back when they did the presentation. And there was some discussion about using there's a big area where that's like set aside for a community center, et cetera, and which isn't going to happen for years and years. And there was some talk about being able to have temporary uses for those areas. Is that discussion gone by the wayside, or is there anything happening with that?
Essentially, the areas outside of the sports field
Yeah.
is going to be open space. So, I mean, there's going to be, we would think that it would be used as like an open field. You'll see, I'm sure people will take their dogs there. People will be out and just enjoying the sunshine in an open field. It's not going to be the same level of maintenance as, say, the field, the sports field, or the inner open green space within Quarry, but still enough to have passive recreation. And that's what we're looking at for those areas right now. As well as there's a lot of meadow area there as well, that we can still even hold off on a lot of maintenance. There's some smaller sections that is meadow mix that we can let grow for pollinator meadows and that sort of thing. So yeah, there's a lot of open area passive recreation there for sure.
Okay, because we had been talking at some point about like gardens and that kind of thing. We're not looking at that anymore.
At this point, I think the focus has switched for like, are you talking community gardens?
Yeah.
That sort of thing. So at this time, I think the focus for the community gardens has switched over to Colwood Creek. Not to say that conversation couldn't be had for any open spaces within. I know Royal Bay is another area where there's lots of interest in having a community garden aspect to that area. So those discussions are always open to be had.
Thank you very much. Devon, perhaps maybe, and Carol, I appreciate your patience. Keep jumping past you. So.
Thanks for the information. I have two questions. The first one is, we've discussed signage a little bit. And in terms of like, has there been an involvement with First Nations in terms of like cultural language on the signage? And opportunities for that, or indigenous plants or medicinal plants? Is the first one. Thanks.
We've had, I know through the Friends of Havenwood have facilitated the Indigenous Studies classes through Royal Bay, and they have gone through Havenwood and actually done some Indigenous signage and language for plants throughout there. We haven't officially done anything with the nations at this point, but the city's still working through engagement and our engagement processes right now. And I could definitely see for Havenwood, I think it's just because we already have gone through with the Indigenous Studies group, and they've gone through with the elders and actually named plants and done some low key group projects through the forest. I could definitely see that would be something in the future for sure.
That sounds great. Yeah, I look at these as kind of living laboratories or outdoor classrooms. My second question is, and it's probably more indicative of the parks management plan. In the plan, does it discuss carry capacity of parks? And like, for example, say you have an event that you're expected to have an influx of people in there, and do you have like, carrying capacity level 1, 2, and 3, and you have heightened kind of protection measures depending on as we approach those different limits or thresholds? Thanks.
We actually don't have that in the parks plans that we've done, but that's a great comment. That's something I'd like to explore and into having, especially with where we actually are going to receive parks that we know there's going to be some big events and that sort of thing. So that's definitely something that I will take note of, and when we're working on other parks plans and when we're redoing, because a lot of these parks plans, we'll relook at after 5 years and update, and that's definitely something that we could look at updating as well.
That's great. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Carol.
I just had one more thing to mention and draw to people's attention about Havenwood. And then, Chair, I would like to ask the Chair if it's all right after that, after people have finished other comments, if I could just ask some questions about issues that we talked about at our last meeting. Is that a possibility?
I don't see why not.
Well, I'll go ahead with Havenwood first. All right. In the most recent Havenwood Management Plan, page 81, and actions 17.2, when land near Havenwood Park is planned for development as a condition of subdivision. Sorry, one above that, 17.1, excuse me. Acquire additional land adjacent to Havenwood Park to preserve and enhance the environment and recreational value of the park. Pursue opportunities to reduce the city's cost of acquisition by using funding strategies outlined in the Park Management Plan and other things such as Park Reserve Fund, donations, fundraising, community partnerships. So one of the action plans for Havenwood is to acquire additional land, adjacent land. And along that note, I just wanted to update, since we're talking quite a bit about Havenwood, is that an organization here in Colwood, Citizens Environment Network in Colwood, has met with our local MLA, Darlene Rochford, to discuss that very topic. And we have had 2 consecutive meetings because there is land adjacent to Havenwood Park that is provincial land. And so we would like, if it's not going to be used for other purposes, we would very much like to follow the action plan in the management plan for Havenwood to acquire adjacent additional land. So since we're talking 4 years, we're talking about a 4-year plan here with our spending and that sort of thing. This might not involve a cost to Colwood. It's hard to say. It might not. And part of that, what I just read, was explore partnerships. So this is something that is happening as you know, right currently. That this is being pursued because once that land is gone, it's gone. There's only so much adjacent land to Havenwood or to any of our parks that is still treed and semi-natural. So this is our opportunity, and it's only going to come around once. And once it's gone and it's developed and the trees are cut down, we've lost our chance. So there are people in the community. Scenic is working very hard to pursue this. And hopefully we are asking for help from our MLA. We're asking for help from the province. We would, we'd ask for help from anyone. And, we just want you to be aware of that. And hopefully we'll have some positive outcomes. You never know. And that would be terrific. So I do have some other points, but that was what I was speaking to a while ago. It's not to do with Havenwood.
Okay, so do you have questions related to this agenda? Left?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna jump in here just for a minute because I had a couple questions.
Okay.
And one was that aluminum bridge. I guess it was Culver Creek. The picture I can't even remember. It's but anyway, I walked over it the other day and I thought, wow, that's pretty skookum. But could you tell me where that's fabricated? Ryan, thank you.
Absolutely. Excuse me. Riptide Manufacturing. I believe they're in Parksville.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Riptide Manufacturing. They do it in
okay.
Parksville.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
cool.
and I believe the design it's intended for golf carts on a golf course. So it's all pre-engineered and everything.
Oh, yeah.
So very,
It looks like it'll be there for 100 years. It's so solid, but
yeah,
it looks good.
it's
So that's
pretty
great.
heavy duty. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I know the wooden ones are nice, but those are really durable, I think. Do you have a working life on those? Is it like 50 years or something?
Yeah, the aluminum bridges are generally considered 50-year structures,
Wow.
although probably they'll last longer.
Nice. Yeah, yeah. The other question I have on the playground that I know has been delayed at Colwood Creek, or sorry, just find it quick. The little drawing there's a reference to. Sorry, I gotta find this real quick here. The new fiber surfacing. Can you describe what that surface is? Is that
That's where you said the 5R.
yeah?
That's wood chips. It's just like an engineered wood chip that's doesn't have splinters. It's
Yeah.
safer for kids.
Yeah, cool. These are all very technical questions. And can that stream bear fish? Should it bear fish? Did it bear fish? The Colwood Creek there through that part? Because when I was there the other day, I guess it was full, or at least higher than usual. And I know in the summer it's much lower, but do you know if it's a fish bearing stream potentially? Any groups that are maybe working on it?
Off the top of my head, do you know? Or
No.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know of any. I just was curious if
Yeah, I don't I don't
Yeah.
know either. I do know that we have seen fish in Colwood Creek. Um,
Oh.
and it's actually we were in there, we were doing the bridge work, as well as doing some invasive species management through that area as well when we had the environmental permits in place. And we did see a lot more fish than we have from before.
Are we still stocking? I don't know who stocks it up in Lookout Lake. For years, I think some group stocked that with fish, right?
For years they did. I'm not exactly sure if that's I haven't heard that they aren't
Yeah.
stocking it.
Yeah, I was just curious, and I know it's all like not necessarily even parks, it's other groups doing these things, but to be honest, I have a childhood memory of a farm I was born on, Ontario, and there was a very small creek, smaller than Colwood Creek, and there were a big brown trout in there. I have that memory, so I was looking at it the other day, and I just thought, what a beautiful spot! That it's remarkable the resources we have in this city. I've been here for 30 years, and there's parts that I haven't seen, and it just struck me at that moment how wonderful that is. And the new bridge was part of that because I wanted to scout it. The other comment I wanted to make about that, Gordon, we had a conversation about the community gardens on the east side of the park, parallel to the MP, and that discussions are going forward, which is very exciting. And I'm sure the committee will hear more once we get to that point. But in that conversation, you made reference to that being a good spot for gardens because of the low water or the high water table or the water flooding possibility in the rest of the park. So I was just going to make the comment. I walked through and I parked up how far, off the road of Anthropos, and I walked back that way, and I couldn't believe when I got into the main body of the park how wet it was. Days and days and days. It had to be a week since we had a drop of rain, and it was still sort of little tricklets, trickling drainage coming off these big, wet, watery areas, and I had never seen it like that. I can't believe. So you're absolutely right on. I understand now completely what you're talking about, the suitability for community gardens. So there's so many elements that need to come together for things to be suitable for public use. Because once the public gets at it, it tends to change things. So I appreciate that too in your comments about aspects, even with the best spots seem to be left alone. Don't tell anybody we're saying that. I'm saying that. Maybe I had one more. Quarry Park parking, and I know that there's access to Colwood Creek Park off of Latoria, and we're talking about that stretch where the creek crosses under Latoria, and there's cars that sort of randomly park there on the shoulder of the road. Once we improve that road, that'll maybe change that situation. And the one discussion was that, well, we have the Quarry Park parking lot with the access further into the South Royal Bay, and is that parking lot in your mind part of a parking access parking, or is that the playground parking or the rec center parking? I can't quite remember from plans. Or indeed, I was curious how you think about that parking lot in terms of access to the park.
You're talking the upper parking lot
I guess so, yeah, the
by the
one
bike park
where the car chargers are and stuff, I think.
or down below. So down below, I think that the parking down below where the car chargers are is definitely parking for all of the facilities there.
And then there's one further up.
And then the upper, there is one that was we were able to park there in the interim, but now they're actually starting to move forward with that, moving along that development on the upper area there that will see the connection through to Latoria Creek Park.
Right.
And that parking lot is going to be inaccessible for a while they do that.
Yeah.
But then when that's done, that will be the parking for the park, the
Yep.
bike park, as well as Latoria Creek, that access through there as well.
Yeah, because I noticed that the parking as they are on the side of the road, they're actually kind of sitting almost on the riparian area in a sense. And that in fact, it might be better to think that we should encourage people to park in at the actual design parking spot. I'm just thinking about oil dripping from cars and that kind of stuff. You don't want people sitting right by the creek. And I know it's a wonderful entranceway and it can still be a beautiful access point with the benches there. But anyway, it was just a comment and I was wanted to get that clarified because we did a little tour of that. So you see that that's definitely a car or park designated parking, really, that upper one.
I do. Yes.
Yeah, cool, good to know. Thank you. And I think that I've come to the end of my bit. Carol. No, you gotta be on the mic. Oh, let's see, Chris. I'll be right with you. So maybe we'll get back to you again, Carol. Sorry, I keep putting on hold, but we want to get Chris involved. Whoop,
Go ahead.
I got the wrong one, Sarah. I gotta fix that so we can hear it. I don't know why. Here we go.
Skipping the line. Nice. Question number one, the two pre-engineered bridges, were there any cons identified with them that we decided were worth the risk of changing from the original plan?
I think the only thing we really considered leading up to that was just the aesthetics of moving away from the natural wood structures that sort of match the aesthetic of the park to something that's just shiny aluminum. And I think they blend in quite well. So that was sort of the only real risk we considered with that.
Awesome, thank you. And the second question, it's come up in this room once, maybe twice in the past. We've talked about using some of the larger public parks buildings like the washrooms in a similar way to the Create Places or Create Spaces project, and using it for artwork related to education and language or culture or health. Is that something that's come up outside of this room since we've talked about it?
Yeah, I think it does come up in those conversations through make places, that sort of thing, as well as our public art through parks, which is still ongoing. So I think those great opportunities. We saw the mural down at the washrooms down to Ocean View. So those conversations of using those types of facilities to house those like art and public art and that sort of thing, and indigenous art, all of that stuff, I think is always in the conversation for sure.
And is there anything that you know of specifically to the newer structures that have been built?
The newer structures, not for the build themselves, but I'm sure they will come once those pieces of infrastructure are in and we see what we can actually do on them. I'm sure that the same as we did down at Ocean View, when the opportunity comes, we would use those areas. But there's nothing specifically for those buildings at this point.
After completion.
Yeah.
Yeah, got it. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Chris. And we'll go, your mic is already on there, Karen, so why don't you jump on? Thanks.
Thank you. My question and comments are about Quarry Park Playground. When it opened last summer, I remember Facebook was awash with complaints from parents saying, my kids are getting heat strokes, sunburned, which is cancer causing, which of course we want to avoid. And it seems like trees have been planted, but of course trees will take several years to provide shade. So I wonder if in your discussions about the washroom and other amenities for the park, you could consider a solar canopy that would provide shade and would also collect some energy that could pay for the lighting in the park. In some jurisdictions like France, we talked a lot about parking lots. There's a large parking lot, but I think it would be of most benefit if it could provide shade on the picnic tables or the playground area. And some jurisdictions like France actually require parking lots that have more than 80 spaces in them to provide at least 50% solar canopy coverage. So I think it's a bold initiative that you could possibly work with the CRD Climate Initiative on and the developer and maybe create a regional model for a solar canopy shade cover. So David, I wonder if I can make a recommendation.
Like a motion to
Yes.
recommend to council to consider that
Yes.
type of thing? I don't see why not. Again.
Okay, I'm going to.
Or do you want to speak to something first, or?
Only to say that in building the washroom and hearing the feedback for the park, we do realize that shade is needed there. We are looking at shade options right now. So this is very timely. So as we build the washrooms, we were going to have options for council for some shade options down there. And then, so that's like I said, this is very timely that we could look at. I have not seen solar shading myself, but if it's out there, we can definitely have a look and see if it's
Yeah,
it's available.
it's definitely out there.
In light of the information, do you want to move forward with
A motion?
a recommendation? Yeah, motion.
I do. The call would explore opportunities for collaboration with the developer on a solar canopy over a portion of Quarry Park to provide much needed shade for park users and solar energy to cover park lighting costs.
So, okay, so that motion would be for council to consider, correct?
And
I'm not quite sure how that works.
I
Sorry.
just wanted to
sorry.
add that it could dovetail very nicely with the Colwood Economic Plan, given that Shift Solar is a business within the municipality. And there's a great example, Gord, at the Earth Ocean Sciences Center of the Pacific in North Saanich. They've got tons of solar canopy over their parking lot. So it's and
Okay.
I can send you a photo.
So if we get this motion on the table, we can have a bit of discussion about it. I'm waiting for corporate to come up with a nice version and maybe have it up on the screen so we can see it. Or does that work? We'll just give them a few minutes. There's no rush there. While we're contemplating this, I'd like to make one question about the waterfront stewardship plan. I think I read in the report, and just correct me because I'm sorry, because my brain, I just can't quite find it in my memory. The section that would be near the washrooms and then east from there, a sort of a pilot stretch initially for trial and for testing and for public feedback. Did I read that right somewhere?
Uh, yes, that was, I believe that was in like a briefing document. That is still subject to some approvals, but the intent is to do something along those lines to prove out some of the methods and planting and things like that.
Yeah, it
in
seems to me it seems to me there's a lot of challenges there, like you call them engineering challenges, I don't know, but also for design. But it seems to me it's a really, it's kind of a cool idea to have that because then it's a perfect way to sort of gather ideas about how people react to it before we spend all that money on something when maybe it could be better or changed or whatever. So I just wanted to double check that. So, and I know that there's timeline issues. Do you have any idea when that first bit will start? And vaguely?
If everything goes well, next couple months.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Okay. Well, won't hold you to a day, but look forward to it. It looks like we're getting something to read. If we can get here we are. That I'll just read it real quick. That part. That the Parks and so is this oh yeah, that the Parks and Environment Committee recommend to council that Colwood staff explore opportunities for collaboration with the developer for solar canopy over a portion of Quarry Park to cover costs for lights. Yeah, cover. Costs for lights.
Are we also envisioning like solar panels on the parking lot? Yeah, I just didn't want it.
So
Sorry.
yeah, go ahead. Yeah, we'll need to get your mic on.
I just wanted to clarify because I wasn't sure whether the solar panels were creating shade in the park or creating shade for the parking lot. I think both have merit. It's just didn't want to rule out the parking lot.
I could be wrong, but I think at some point though, too, we cross into another department's consideration with parking lot as infrastructure, or is that a parks thing? I mean, it's a bit of a crossover, and I'm not sure. I guess you could fight about whose budget it has to come out.
I mean, it is the parking lot for the park.
Fair enough. Yeah, good point. But so if we clarify then, is it for the parking lot or are you speaking generally?
My concern is children, and I think that's who should have the shade.
So it's, yeah, so I think for park users and solar energy company, yeah, well, much needed shade for park users. I think that captures. Okay.
The reason why I clarify is that I think, sorry, the reason I wanted to clarify is I think it's easier to implement the parking lot, but you don't get the shade for the patrons. But yeah, just cost efficiency, but
Sorry, I have a question. So no, I don't need a seconder, right?
yeah, well,
Right, so we have a motion now is on the table. Did that happen when we? Yeah, without a seconder, it's not even clear in my mind if the motion is actually on the table. So we're discussing the motion right now, if we could, please, Carol.
Oh, I just wanted to second it, like everyone else probably. Oh,
You're on.
no, we are still discussing the motion
It's a
and
motion.
I am definitely in favor and I'd like to second it. I'm sure many others
Yeah.
would.
But that's great, thank you. We don't need a seconder for
Oh.
committee motions.
Okay.
Karen would like to make a comment.
I think having a solar canopy over the parking lot would also be laudable. And it strikes me that this wording allows for that to be a possibility. So I don't know if it's necessary to add that, but I think we're all in agreement that our primary focus would be shade for the children.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I think that the motion, in my opinion, the motion captures what we're discussing here. If we all agree on that, Carol, do you want, you still have your mic on?
I think I'm still on for
Well, I'll
something
get
else.
back to you. You want to turn it off, then we'll circle back. Thank you. And so I would call a question on any objectors to the motion. Any objection? Any? None seen, so we'll that's carried. I get to look forward to that at a future meeting. Nice, thank you very much. Carol, if you, anyone else like to add more to this discussion around today's agenda or horizons beyond? We've ventured quite a ways in this meeting. It's been good. Anyway, I think Carol, did you? Yeah, if you like to speak.
Oh.
You're on, Carol.
Okay, so just speaking to the agenda for today, I just think, oh, what great suggestions have come forward. Just so pleased with the meeting today. Going back though to our previous Parks and Environment Advisory Committee meeting, there were just a few things that came up in our discussion. Some points that we brought up, just as we have today, that I really don't know if they have received any traction at all or if they've moved forward. So I'm just going to go ahead and I guess Gordon, Ryan, maybe you might be able to answer some you might not know the answer to. The number one was we recommended that we have a 40% tree canopy. Could you give me any direction on where that went? I know they were going to send it back to the developer or to the author of the plan. And I did not hear if it was accepted. So that's one of a few. So if you have an answer for that.
There was a lot of discussion around the committee's recommendation to council when it went to council. And we are currently working on the different canopy targets to bring forward back to council with the higher canopy targets, as well as looking at including the canopies for rural roads and federal land within Colwood as part of our overall canopy. So we are working on those as right now.
Thank you, Gord. And if there's an opportunity, we did vote in favor of, I know 40% was not one of the three suggestions. They were all lower than 40%. And some of our members would like us to go even higher. So I hope you'll bring that forward, that the advisory committee is hoping for at least 40%. So
I believe that the discussion in council was in agreement with the committee that there were some higher targets that were put in place there.
great,
For us to
thank
look
you.
at.
Another point was it was brought up that we thought, was there an opportunity to have an arborist on our Colwood City staff?
That is something we're looking at as well. It's part of our plan moving forward. Right now, we are concentrating on getting a horticulturalist on our staff over the next few years, and then as we build that horticulture, because we contract out to arborists right now, which is it is working for us but as our strategy comes into place, when we finally get it in place and and the bylaw gets updated, that's going to definitely feed to uh, getting an arborist on staff for the city. But right now we're working well with contracted arborists, and we're looking at strengthening our horticulture side at this point, and then we'll move from there to the arborist side.
Thank you. And next question. There was talk that we wish to see no tree cutting on development land until there is a building permit in hand. Has that gone forward? Is that now a bylaw in Colwood that you can't cut the trees until you have the building permit?
I know that discussion has been had, and I don't want to answer because I don't know exactly. I do believe that we have strengthened our development permit process with stronger language to prevent the cutting of trees before, like the situation we had before, where there was large swaths of trees being cut. I think we have addressed that through our planning department.
Yeah, I would agree with you, Gord, there. My recollection too. Yeah, we can always get back to you with a firmer answer, but I'm pretty sure that can't be done.
Good.
Yeah, the building permit must be pulled before trees can be cut.
I believe that is
Except for some very exceptional access for drilling surveys, geological surveys, and getting vehicles into them. Very specific pathways. But the situation that we've experienced in the past years, my understanding is it couldn't happen now.
Excellent. Good. All right. The next question, I believe, has been answered. Invasives should be removed on properties that have had their trees removed, waiting to be developed, and there has been some discussion about that already. It was brought up at the last meeting that there could be a designation for heritage trees that are over 250 years old, and an arborist would probably have to determine that, and they would receive special protected tree status in Colwood. Has there been any discussion on that or any movement?
I think part of the strategy and the new bylaw is to recognize significant trees. I don't think we've gone as far as like a heritage tree, but we are looking at the same model that Saanich and I believe Victoria do as well, where we have a significant tree list that are essentially that same idea, not so much a heritage tree, but a tree that's over a certain size and age, and those would be listed trees within our bylaw.
Oh, great. When the biodiversity report came up last meeting, and also the Esquimalt Lagoon Migratory Bird Sanctuary report, it was mentioned that when we have culverts, such as the one David was describing, in Colwood Creek, when it goes under a road, that we actually embed in the culvert gravel and logs to make it more friendly to aquatic life. Do you think there's any chance on movement on that?
I don't have any information on that, and I haven't seen a motion referring to that. But I mean, we try to strengthen water habitat as well as forest and in all ecosystems. So I can definitely bring that to a future meeting if that's something that the city has been. Yeah.
I think so. Thank you. Just wanted just a little update on what some of the discussion was from the last meeting. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks very much, Carol. Anyone else got a question or a comment that we got? Oh, sorry, Gord.
Chair, if I may, I just have an update on a previous question that was
Please.
asked by Councillor Jorgensen on the property at the end of Resolution Way, which is I think 3444 resolution, 3444 resolution. And I do have the planning department is actually working on including park dedication and connection through that development.
Cool. That's good news.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else? So I think that leaves this meeting. I seem to be coming to a close. I thank everybody for the participation. When we have an agenda like this, if everybody's snoozing, we have a 10-minute meeting, and this was fabulous. We're like hour and a half long, lots of information, lots of great answers, lots of insights, and I think some valuable information moving forward to help our staff understand where we sit, where this group sits. So, and again, I want to thank all of our community members for attending and all your good work here. Parks and corporate, thank you all very much. And I would, can I call the meeting adjourned? We need a motion. Yeah, I have a motion for adjournment. Kimberly? All those in favor? Passed. That's the sit and be fit portion of the meeting. Raising